Tesla has finally released the much-anticipated full self-driving subscription service. Spoiler alert, it ain't cheap. But it will make it within reach for a lot more people, rather than paying $10,000 for it outright. I'm Frugal Tesla Guy, and I'm going to give you my 2 cents as to why it's not worth jumping on this full self-driving train, at least for now. It has finally arrived. For those of you who have been itching to get your hands on full self-driving but couldn't afford it or justify the $10,000 price tag, Tesla has made it much more attainable for a lot more people. Now, for those of you who have enhanced Autopilot, you can pay $99 a month to add full self-driving to your Tesla. For those of you without enhanced Autopilot, it'll cost you $199 a month. Now, in an effort to keep this video semi-short, I'm not going to go into what enhanced Autopilot is. Simply put, if you don't know what it is, then most likely you don't have it, since it was something you could purchase in the younger years of the Model 3 and then for a brief period shortly after that. Now, it doesn't stop there, because there may be an upfront cost of $1,000 to upgrade the FSD computer from hardware version 2.5 to 3.0. Which one do I have, you might be asking? Well, the easiest way to find out is actually just subscribing from the app, and it will tell you whether or not you need to upgrade from your computer. Now, just to be clear, you will not be getting the FSD beta software you have seen all over YouTube the last several months. There are still only a few thousand people who have the early access to it, so the car will not steer itself on city streets. And your guess is as good as mine as to when there will be a full public release on that. And this is why I'm scratching my head at this point, because I thought the subscription service wouldn't be offered until FSD Beta was fully released to everyone with FSD. I was under the impression that the biggest attraction to the full self-driving software was the car driving and making turns on city streets. Now, I was lucky enough to only pay $5,000 for the FSD upgrade a few years ago, and although that may still be a big chunk of money, it's only half of what it costs now, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect, because I had a check for $2,500 from the state and a $7,500 federal tax credit in hand. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have the auto steering feature, which has now come standard with all Teslas for a few years now. With that said, if you have one of the earlier Teslas before auto steering became standard, you will be required to shell out $3,000 for auto steering, otherwise known as Autopilot, before you can subscribe to FSD. So worst case scenario, if you need to upgrade from hardware version 2.5 to 3.0 and purchase auto steering or Autopilot, it'll cost you $4,000 before you can even consider a subscription to FSD. But if you're like most people, then all you'll need to do is pay the monthly fee, and with sales tax, of course, depending on which state you live in. And the beauty is there is no contractual obligation, and you can cancel and resubscribe at any time. So now the big question is it worth $200 a month? Well, if you ask me, no. At least not yet. Now let's start with what you'll get. Traffic light and stop sign recognition, which will stop and go depending on the traffic signal or sign. This will require you to confirm with the right stalk or a light tap of the accelerator. Now, is this something I find useful? Well, kind of, but I can see how it might be more useful for people who live in congested areas, since the car will automatically stop and go with the flow of traffic. Navigate on Autopilot. Now, it depends on who you ask. Some people absolutely swear by it, and others, like me, will take it or leave it. Does it change lanes automatically? Yes. Does it take exits automatically? Yes. But for me, I prefer to have control over the lane changes because it doesn't anticipate certain situations like a human can just yet, which can leave you in the slow lane longer than you need to be. Summon and Smart Summon. Now, theoretically, you should be able to stand at the entrance of a building and the car will come to you. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't make it, and it ends up blocking someone, forcing you to make the walk of shame to your car and apologize to the person you just blocked. Even Elon Musk referred to summon as a fun trick. So this is a feature that was fun at first, but for most of us has been collecting dust. Auto park. Now this can be useful, but once again has room for improvement. Simply put, it just takes way too long in my opinion. If you can't parallel park to save your life, then that might be an instance where it will actually speed up the process for you. But for me, I never use auto park. Auto lane change. For me, this is one thing I would miss. As simple as it is, it just makes the auto steer experience complete in my personal opinion. I have all the functionality of auto steer while also instructing the car to change lanes for me without having to re-engage auto steer once I've changed lanes. Quite honestly, if this was included with auto steer, or otherwise known as Autopilot, I would see no need to subscribe or purchase FSD in its current state. Bottom line, as I mentioned earlier, I was under the impression that FSD subscription service wouldn't be available until FSD beta was released to everyone. It's what most people are talking about, and as a result, the most excited about as well. I can't imagine paying $200 a month for the current state of FSD. In my opinion, the included auto steer with adaptive cruise control is as good as it gets. The only improvement I would like to see is adding auto lane change to the included auto steer. Now everything else I can personally live without, and quite honestly haven't used in months. Now I completely understand the attraction. It's something shiny and new and looks like a lot of fun. And if you want to give all the added features a try, it might be worth $200 for you to have them in your car for a month. But if you have your eyes set on FSD beta, then you might want to hold off and save yourself some money until it's released to everyone. So what are your plans? Have you been thinking about subscribing but haven't pulled the trigger just yet? Or are you one of those that jumped on the opportunity right away? Let me know in the comments section below. Well, thank you all so much for watching, and you know the drill. Like, subscribe, and stay positively charged.